Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Town Hall with Mr. Z. We're on Facebook Live and also on YouTube, and hopefully people are starting to chime in. I'm seeing users slowly come into the room, so I'll kind of watch the numbers as we get started. We have a few things on the agenda tonight, but just as a reminder, I'm watching the comment stream on both channels. So if you're on YouTube or if you are on the Facebook Town Hall, you can post your comments and I will see them come up as with the very first one here saying welcome all. So please do that at your discretion on the Facebook. If you want to go through the StreamYard process in order for us to see your name, that's fine. You don't have to, but otherwise we'll just see Facebook user when we bring your comments up on the screen. As always, we'll try to answer your questions as they emerge and make sure we're going back and scanning things. Some of our administrators and staff are online live and may answer your comments directly as we're discussing them online. So we use that feature as well. So we're going to get started and jump right in. This is our town hall for the 8th of September. It is 7 p.m. and we're right on schedule. We're going to start with bringing our PTO crew in. They've got a short blurb. I know they were here last time with us, but we've got some results from a most recent activity, and we're also excited to hear about the most important upcoming activity. So there's Rupali and Maria and Aloma. Welcome back to the town hall. We're here to go, and we just came off an amazing mixer. Am I right? Whoa, yes. Somebody's muted there, Maria. You got to kick your mute button. There you go.
Sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
Still learning. No, it was a great mixer. We had a lot of participation. We had a really positive feedback. It was nice to be back again, to have fun, to drink, to party without our masks. We felt absolutely amazing. And it's important, John, because it was such a long time that we were always at home, being extremely cautious. We did the mixer, we validated all factors, we were extremely cautious, we took all measures. We did the testing went smoothly, everyone got the green pass, they entered, and we started drinking and chatting like we did like 2 years ago. I think it was a great start, and we have high hopes for this year. Again, of course, we're very realistic. If we need, we're always saying that we need to repeat this. We will make adjustments if needed, but there is hope in the horizon. And we had an amazing time. Thank you, parents, and thank you, Aloma, for organizing it. Sorry, it was coming. And thank you, PTO team. Thank you, everyone. John, thank you for your support. And EpicSpert, I already thanked Dr. O. We wouldn't have done it without them. So thank you very much. And now barbecue time.
So let's get into barbecue. This is our last opportunity before it comes up a week from Saturday. We're in the final stages of prep with lots of things going on. Where do you guys want to begin? What do we want to talk about first?
Aloma?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so excited. So, we got a lot of positive feedback. We have a lot of activities planned for September 18th. The barbecue starts at 12 and ends at 5. We have some live music that's going to be coming, a jazz band, a magician for the young kids. Conrad the magician will be there, so that'll be exciting for them. We have some Indian dancers that are going to showcase their beauty and their dance, doing 3 beautiful numbers, 2 solos and 1 duet. So that'll be fantastic to watch. We just added Muay Thai boxing activity.
Wow.
So we'll have some participation. Hopefully, we want to bring in people to participate in some activities. And that should be awesome, along with Elizabeth Swanson, who's one of our teachers, and she's going to be doing some jazzercise. So yeah, we have a lot of things planned. Everybody's pulling their weight and getting things done, and we're super excited and just want people to tell everybody they know at this school, staff, friends, kids, everybody, that there's a lot of fun opportunities at our barbecue. And a lot of food, lots and lots of food, delicious food, all
This is the
different
thing,
kinds
right,
of
is we've got a
international
real-
foods.
Yeah, we were sharing, we got a real step up from many of our food vendors and
Yes.
food court providers, the guys that go to these things, who have said, yeah, we want to come and we want to be part of this amazing event. So we're going to have that. We're going to be entirely outside,
Outside, correct.
which is our safety factor. So we won't need
Yes.
to be doing event testing prior to the event. Kids, of course, will be tested, so they'll be on schedule and they'll be green okay for school. But we will have it entire outside. We'll be moving people outside and not through the building, so the buildings will be closed. We'll still have restrooms and things available. We're lucky that we have outdoor restrooms that we can utilize during the event, and some that are close to entrances. So just everybody out there, we're following protocol and safety. And in fact, Dr. O and I are going to talk about this a little bit later about the path forward. But we believe by staying outside, we'll be in a good place to have a wonderful event and still be very cautious for those who choose to participate. What's next? What else? Go ahead.
Can I just add 3 more things really quickly?
Yeah, go.
There's going to also be inflatables,
Yeah.
activities activities for elementary school. So there'll be some fun activities for them. And then middle school and high school, anybody who wants to join in on a dodgeball tournament, we encourage you to come out and have some fun with us.
There you go. All right,
And John,
now.
we have asked from all the vendors and the service providers that they will be tested.
Yes, so we will be providing testing for everybody that's outside our community bubble to make sure that they're safe to come into our bubble and work on the day. So that's arranged as well. Thank you for reminding me.
And they will be wearing gloves all the
Yep.
time. And
Yep.
on each table, as far as the food vendors are concerned, there will be a sanitizer.
Yep.
So everything is taken care of. Our safety is our priority. So we're taking care of
Absolutely.
everything. And parents, they need to know that we're doing everything.
There you go. Next, baskets.
Rupali.
Rupali, talk to us about baskets.
In the house.
While the PTO team is working towards, preparing for the barbecue, the vendors, food vendors, product vendors who are going to come and promote their products, the community is coming together with all the beautiful baskets. I'm telling you, the baskets continue to be as creative and as amazing as always. We have a few new this year. We have the school board of trustees. The board is preparing a basket for us. We have a lot of exciting things, a lot of wine coming in. All the different communities are giving their country baskets. We have a lot of signups. We are there in school every morning from at least an hour after drop-off to collect your baskets. And every day we come saying 1 hour, and I don't see myself leaving before 3:30 any day, because, we keep, there's just so much excitement. We're packing the baskets, we are numbering them, uploading them on RallyUp. So we will continue to do an online raffle this year also, like last year, to ensure safety. And because parents cannot go inside and take a look, we'll have all the baskets available online on RallyUp like last year. We are working towards making RallyUp available and open for you this Saturday. So you have the weekend and all of next week to put your tickets for your favorite baskets and vouchers. There's a lot of vouchers, a lot of baskets. Do allocate some time this weekend to take a look at the baskets and to put your tickets. We'll keep posting details on when the RallyUp goes live. We'll also post information on how you can access RallyUp for all of our new parents. And as if you remember last year, there were some bonus tickets that RallyUp was giving. How do you assign them? Everything will be there on RallyUp. On Facebook, through email. We'll keep communicating to you. But if you have any specific questions, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer them.
And by the way, email addresses for PTO are pretty easy. They're the same at aswarsaw.org domain, and you've got PTO president, no space, no extra characters, PTO vice president, and PTO event coordinator in that order. So they're all there.
PTO event cord.
Cord, you're right.
Cord, sorry, yeah.
So stop at D. There you go. And I just looked at the long range forecast, 12 days out. It looks dry.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit cooler, so we'll have to dress appropriately, but it will be dry a week from Saturday. So we're excited about that, and let's all keep our fingers crossed and that the weather cooperates so we can have a wonderful outdoor event and enjoy each other's company. Anything else, ladies, to update on, Maria?
Yeah, two more things, that we will also have our PTO store at the barbecue.
Perfect.
We will be, please read e-notes, scroll down and down and down till you reach e-notes. Don't forget to read e-notes, please. Now we have also our Instagram, all of our news in one picture. So every week we will have a picture with some bullet points with all the news coming from the PTO. So check also Instagram, ASWPTO, all together. Please follow us on Instagram. Also on Facebook, we will be, every day we're uploading our news with pictures, with posters, and with everything. And as far as PTO store, I'm going to tell you very quickly, it's opening for the staff and the upper school students next week. So it's going to be open on Thursday, tomorrow, from 11 to 1. On Friday, from 11 again to 1. Monday, September 13th, from 11 to 1. So all the days 11 to 1. Tuesday again, September 14th. And Wednesday, September 15th, it will be closed.
Okay.
And then it will open again at the barbecue.
Brilliant. And then all that, you put all that in e-notes, right? So all the dates are there.
On e-notes, and I will do, and Emma will post a separate note on Facebook,
on the Facebook
later tonight, and on Instagram. And another thing which is new, I just read on ASW Parents page that there is going to be a new soccer team.
Yes.
A new soccer activity for adults.
Yep.
And it's really nice. Do you want me, John, to read about it, or you want to say something?
I'm going to say everybody should go read their e-notes.
It's not on e-notes. This
In the Facebook parent page. But yeah, go ahead and share it out. What's the one in the parent group? What do they say?
It's an initiative from Nikolai Mogilinski. Nikolai, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your surname correctly. Sorry. He says, we are attempting to kickstart a social football soccer initiative for ASW parents most Sundays between 10 a.m. and noon. Social and parents are the two key words. This is to get us moving. You need to be an ASW parent with access to school. All skill levels are fine, but it would be good if you knew how soccer differs from tennis or rugby.
Yeah.
So
by the way,
you can contact him directly if you want to join the team.
So head for the parent Facebook group, and you'll find the information there. But importantly, and connected to this, I just want to reinforce, we've got guidelines for access to our facility, the outdoor areas, throughout the non-school times. And so up until evening, I think before we get into dusk, and then weekends, it's fine for you to be here on site. There are limitations for kids in terms of age levels and supervision, parent supervision that's required. But within those bounds, you have access to the fields, to the outside sport courts, to the tennis courts, as members of the ASW community. And it's only ASW parents and their children and staff that have access to our facility in this way. I've written about it before in Zimplicity. If you have any questions about it, just contact us. There's a link online that talks about what the times are and how the access is managed and the age levels that require parent supervision. But please check that and come. And I just wanted to note that last weekend, I happened to notice there were lots of families here. enjoying the playground and enjoying the outdoor activities that are on site. We do ask you to please be kind to our playground equipment that's out and take good care of it. Please know that security is monitoring and doing the best they can while you're here on site as well, but they are not supervising kids. So that's why we have the parent requirements for certain age levels, elementary up through, I think, middle school, that require having parents here with you. So thank you for that. But the adult soccer league then would have access as long as it's all ASW parents, and that would be brilliant to have that going on the weekends. All right, ladies.
John, one more thing. Sorry.
One more thing. There's always one more thing. Go ahead, Rupali.
I want to remind everybody of our deadline for the baskets, please.
Thank you.
Please give it to us by this Friday, 10th September, so that we can go live on Saturday. And everybody has an equal opportunity to see all the baskets. So please reach out. If you cannot make it in the morning, let us know, and one of us will be available. We've gone and, in some cases, even picked up baskets if you can't make it. But try and reach out to us, because we'd like your baskets to be uploaded with the others so that everybody has a chance to see them. So we're waiting until the 10th of September, and we're looking forward.
Brilliant. And so all day Friday, but Friday's really the hard stop. We want to get it by Friday, and reach out to us if there are complications in your schedule for delivering, or if you need pickup, we'll get it figured out. Yes. Ladies, thank you so much for joining again. I love having you here, and we'll have you again real soon as we get through barbecue. I know we've got other things on tap for the year ahead, and so we'll be looking forward to you joining me often and frequently throughout the year.
Thank you, John.
And
all right.
Bye. Everybody on the barbecue.
See you there. Bye-bye. All right. Well, that brings us back to our screen, and we're going to bring board chair Kayla Bonka in to join me right now. You may have gotten e-notes already. Kay, good evening to you, and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Z. Good evening to our wonderful community. So my name is Kayla Bonka. I am a second-year ASW parent. Today is actually our year anniversary of arriving to Warsaw, so very... Yeah, crazy year, right? So we're excited for new beginnings and, lots of great stuff this year. The board we'll talk about an appointment we just made. We have 12 very committed professionals representing all different kinds of backgrounds, careers, life experiences, different countries, Americans, and of course, non-Americans. And we actually had our first very successful meeting on Monday. It is a hybrid format, so we invite more of you to join us. We try to keep things, moving and as exciting as we can, and stay to time. And if you are tested, you're welcome to join us in the multipurpose room as well. But just a little bit quickly about me. I am a lifelong educator. This is my 17th year in education. I've taught across Asia, here, and in the United States. So I'm happy and excited to bring that perspective to the board. I have 2 young sons at ASW. Daniel is in kindergarten, wow, and William is in 2nd grade, and they just had a phenomenal experience at the school last year. So we're, of course, reinvigorated as we move forward in this school year. We have a lot of great initiatives and goals for the board that relate to our strategic plan and where we're heading. And one of the things that we're really enthusiastic about is getting out more into the community and being visible, being present, getting to hear from you, truly kind of getting the pulse as to what's going on, because our goal is to continue and further the vision and mission of the school in any way that we can through our initiatives, our committees, our ongoing work and structures and processes. So you are all very much a part of that. So I'm excited to continue to get to know you all. We had a great time at the mixer. I'll see hopefully many of you at the barbecue. Come to the English conversation group Thursday mornings. I mean, so many opportunities to get to know you. So thank you. Did you want to mention Peter, Mr. Z?
Yeah, so we want to also, part of the meeting, let me back up and say, I put in e-notes tonight some additional highlights from the meeting. So there are links to documents that were approved by the board in your e-notes tonight. But one of the things I did not include, because I wanted to do it here tonight, is we're very happy to announce that Peter Hootie, longtime board member, has been reappointed. Even though his his child graduated last year. So Peter no longer has children in the school. He really wanted to continue his work with the board. The board bylaws allow for one position. It's called the 12th seat, for us to appoint someone to it from the non-school association community, meaning individuals who do not have children in the school. Normally, all board members, except for embassy appointments in this 12th seat, have to have children in the school and be members of the school association. But in this case, Peter's child has graduated and he wanted to continue to serve. He put his name forward, and Kay and team put it up in front of the board Monday night, and we're happy to say Peter has been confirmed as our 12th board member for this year, and we're excited to have him on board with us. So great news there.
Absolutely.
Other than that, there are big things on the horizon, Kay. I mean, I think you and I both know we've got a strong team that's ready to work together, but we have a master facilities plan and a facility renovation plan that's coming together. We have some key strategic areas that are developing and moving forward, and the board is engaged with that. And it's really exciting to see us now begin to muster around our committees and our work going. So
it is exciting to keep saying that, for sure.
Kay, anything else about kind of profile of the board and anything else that we want to highlight as we move into the year?
So we do have 5 new members this year. So almost half of the board turned over last year. So we do still have some great veteran experience. We have new energy coming in. I think that could be a really dynamic combination. And Peter, I think, will be great, in helping us bridge that and move forward. There will be a board basket, so look out for that for the first time ever, where they any new traditions.
So let's get some bidders on that. We want lots of tickets in that basket.
Yes. And, we are I have been amazed seeing the commitment. Sorry, I have a child and dog in here. Please. Exactly. So I have just been very excited to see the passion and commitment of all of the educators and the staff in the school. And it's just been a treat to learn more about this. And it has only made me more happy and excited. This is William, to be serving, he's our second grader, to serve the community. And of course, know that we're doing it because we want our children to learn, grow, and thrive in the best way possible in their time here. And I can just sense that energy, and the passion behind what every single, staff member does at the school, and our parent community, is so committed as well. So it's an honor to serve. I look forward to meeting more and more in all kinds of settings in and out of the building. And please do not hesitate to reach out should you have any thing to say. We are here for that. We really want to be a sounding board and be able to help understand your needs as we do our strategic work and meet the very big and wonderful goals that we have for the year ahead. So thank you all.
Thank you, Kay, and thank you for joining me tonight. I know we just decided it was a good opportunity right after the board meeting to make sure that people are aware that we're back there and working. I think our next action board meeting or public board meeting is in November, first part of November. We've changed our schedule up a little bit. In eNotes tonight, I gave you the link to go to the public calendar so you can look ahead and see when those board meetings are. There is a public comment portion of the meeting that allows anyone to come and speak to the board on any issue that concerns them relative to the school, and so we encourage you to join us.
All right. It was November 8th. I was just looking at our calendar here.
Thank you for that.
Thank you all. Great to be here.
All right, we'll say goodbye and go take care of that little second grader. I know he's
Thank you. He's under my desk right now.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. All right, that keeps us going. We had one question while we were talking to Kay, and that's regarding the barbecue. Will entry to campus be limited to parents? Will grandparents be allowed? We've done this in the past and said they would have to be grandparents that are in the household. So the answer would be no, unless the grandparents are part of your household where your children are living. That's the key component. It has to be within the family. We'll send out some clarification on that as we get closer to the barbecue, probably next week's eNotes, to make sure everybody's tuned in on how we will manage this to make sure we stay within the community bubble. And speaking of community bubble, it's probably time to bring in Dr. O and get us roaming here on the things we're going to talk about tonight. I want to take the slides down and say hi first. It's so good to see you. We missed you last time because I knew you were traveling, and we still fielded the questions and survived it. But it's so good to have you back with us. And I know
happy to be back.
And you and I have been talking at length today, so I'll give you a chance here. How are things going generally with you and with things that you're managing right now, and just the general environment out there? Kind of give us a general sense of things.
Well, so there's a couple of things. So one is, we are obviously observing a slight uptick in the number of infections, in the number of hospitalizations and deaths. So there is a general trend which we kind of half expected or even fully expected, which mirrors a little bit what was happening last year. Now we're still at low numbers, but we are creeping up to 500, kind of doubling almost week to week. There is again, it's not completely out of the ordinary. We have observed, and we are observing the so-called fourth wave in multiple countries around the world. So this is the time when the fourth wave will hit. Mm-hmm. And again, this follows a little bit the many discussions we have had over the past 18 months, where I shared with you my view of the pandemic going forward. And my view still it has been and still is, that we will be seeing those waves come and go, a little bit like the flu. And I think, some countries, and I think that's the best strategy, are saying, okay, let's now move to kind of living with COVID, so rather than having these crazy lockdowns, etc., let's learn to live with COVID. Now, one of the biggest, obviously, challenges with living with COVID in a relatively safe way is the vaccination, program.
Right.
And we are unfortunately in Poland at very low numbers. We have to admit it. We are at very low numbers. We are significantly lower than even the OECD average. We are lower than EU average. We are lower than many even developing countries around the world, unfortunately. Okay, these are the facts. These are the numbers. The second challenge which we are observing a bit with the vaccinations is the dropping antibody levels over time. Mm-hmm. And since in Poland we had, the vaccinations went kind of in a relatively small wave in the first quarter, and then a big wave in the second quarter, and then they kind of zeroed down. We will be seeing this, relatively lower antibody levels developing over the following 3 months. So just as the fourth wave hits, we will be seeing those. So we need to anticipate the booster vaccine in the next couple of months, and hopefully, given the government has already proposed the booster vaccine to special populations, hopefully it will also open up to others, which will help us to, again, get to the booster level of hopefully well above where we are today after the second dose, which will in turn help us to survive this fourth wave in a relatively normal way. But my take is, and again, it's not just my take, it's the scientific community take, and the numbers are saying that we need to get to this 70+% level of vaccination, okay? Given that we have had approximately probably 10 to 15% of the population which has had an infection. And we know that this the so-called herd immunity develops for COVID at around 80-85%. Mm-hmm. So when we combine the 70% with the 15% approximately, we get to this 80-85%. Now below that, yes, we get some protection. Mm-hmm. But again, those individuals that were vaccinated in the first quarter, they are pretty much in need of a booster now, as we speak. those who got it in the second quarter, they will be in need in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And then once we get to this, pace of vaccinations, like many countries have done for the flu. Now, Poland, again, for the flu, even the flu, has been one of the lowest, if not the lowest, vaccinating country around the world, with only about 2.5% of the adult population being vaccinated year on year. Now, for COVID, we actually must get to 70-80%, because for the flu, the flu is largely mild for 99.99% of the patients. Now, for COVID, we know it's more like 90%. Okay, so 10% is very severe. Now, when you get 10% times 5 million cases, now you get 500,000 people with severe COVID.
Right.
Even if half of them are vaccinated, you still get 250,000.
Right.
So that's 10 times the capacity of mechanical ventilators that we have in Poland. So that's where the numbers break down. So that's why we have to get to this level. And I hope with the numerous marketing campaigns, etc., that the government is doing, we will, creep up, and we need to creep up fast. Yeah. That's the point.
So that's a good summary, but let's back up, because I think you and I are going to try to apply this then to our situation here and how we're thinking about next steps.
Yeah.
So if we go back to our original factors to consider chart, we're actually doing well on these, but as you point out, on the 7 and 14-day average, we have an upward trend now. So even though we're below that 1,000 mark, we're kind of thinking in the next week or two, we're going to see this surge come, and it's going to push us back above that 1,000 mark. Hopefully not. And again, what we're seeing amongst the cases that are being reported is less serious.
Yeah.
To some degree. We're not seeing the same death numbers, those kinds of things. Right. Ventilators seem to have capacity right now. So in terms of utilization, those numbers are pretty good. But we are seeing this, at least right now, this positive trend line, which, as you said, we expected. The percent positivity is low because of the number of tests that are still being done. Could a lot more tests be done? Probably. It's still pretty low on the testing front in Poland when compared to other countries. So that gives us a sense of we don't necessarily know everything that's going on out there. We've been good so far with cases. I mean, we're at 0.7, right, weekly, based on our 3 cases over the last 4 weeks. So you were going to say something. Go ahead.
And that's the point. So even though, again, the national numbers are some kind of a benchmark, it's more a trend that we should look at rather than the absolute numbers or ratios, because as you say, if we were testing 10 times more people, maybe we would have 10 times more cases. I don't know, but we are testing low. But our school community gives us a good benchmark of what the overall prevalence is, because we are testing everybody weekly.
Right. So we have a better picture than anything.
We have a better picture from a ratio perspective. Obviously, again, we live in a certain city. However, I think it's a pretty good benchmark to say, okay, we are probably nationwide at around 0.7. Okay, yeah. So probably approximately 10 times more than we see today. Okay, in the official numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we discussed with John today how to approach this, and there are obviously 2 options. So one is, and we communicated to you at the beginning of the year that we will take this first 4 weeks to kind of assess the situation, and the assessment is, although we are by the numbers, at least the first line and the second line, we are at the low level of mitigation, or somewhere kind of in the middle. We want to be on the safe side and assume that we are in the medium, because the numbers overall are showing we are at medium. I am concerned about this waning immunity. So I know, a lot of the population is vaccinated, so more than half. still not the 70%, but more than half. We had probably more than the 15% cases last year. So we are oscillating around 65%, let's say, immunity, but still the 35% is a high number. Okay,
Yeah.
It still means that the virus can proliferate, that the local outbreaks can still happen, and that's what we want to prevent. We want to prevent local outbreaks so the school can continue its normal operation without the craziness of closing down cohorts, etc. So hence the decision to continue with this medium level of mitigation, maintaining all the layers of the Swiss cheese, throughout the next couple of months until the semester break. And we will be making an assessment on a weekly basis, because again, for me today, as much as the number of infections is a relatively predictable number, and it again is going to go up, the one factor which is the critical one is the vaccination rate going forward in the next 6 weeks. Now, if that picks up, and if we get to 75% in the next 6 weeks, unlikely, but we may, then I think come end of October, we may be changing and relaxing a little bit, paradoxically. But I think today at the level we are at, and the risk we still have for this 1/3, or probably even more, because again, this antibody levels, unfortunately, and we have quite good evidence from studies. I have a good evidence from my patients who I personally take care of, and pretty much 90% of them, they had a significant drop in the level of antibodies between a month after the second dose and today. So in the last kind of 5 to 6 months, and significant means between 80 and 95% drop.
We certainly have seen in the literature this 6 to 8 month waning. That is definitely what everyone is looking at right now in broad statistical numbers and saying, okay, it does look like a booster or another round of vaccination, if it's a switch from one vaccination to another, is going to be in the offing. So
and it's an important factor because it's like we discussed earlier today, John. It's actually typical that the antibodies disappear, because they're circulating, they're not necessary, they're not used, they have a half-life, they disappear. We have these memory B cells, so they're part of this immune system. So the memory B cells are the lymphocytes that produce the antibodies as a result of a trigger being an infection. So if we get infected with SARS-CoV-2, we have those memory B cells which will start producing antibodies. But they will start producing the antibodies after some time. Okay? So the first layer of defense that we have in our bodies are the circulating antibodies. And research has also shown that this level of circulating antibodies correlates linearly with the level of protection, means with your risk of getting infected and with your risk of getting severe disease. So which is what we would expect, but what we're hoping over time is to develop this lower level
knowledge that your body has about the illness to be able to generate the kinds of antibodies that are necessary to fight the infection when it emerges again. But that's longer down the line, and it's something that is going to take a lot of time for us to really understand the dynamics of how that might work. Exactly. Somebody asked a question about our vaccination rate. I just want to quickly summarize, and I've also got it later too, but I got new numbers based on parents who have been submitting documentation to us. So in the 12 plus student population, we're now at 53%. In the staff population, we're at well above 85%. I want to say we're closer to 90, if not a little bit higher. And then the only unknown for me is in the parent community. I know what we've vaccinated in terms of supporting parent vaccination, but what I don't know is what our percentages look like. And so that'll be something in a survey that we'll probably be trying to ascertain, is like, where are we in our parent community in order to get a better handle on that. And of course, then the issue is, of course, we have to remind ourselves, under 12, it's a big fat 0. And so we have no vaccination down there. We may have some natural immunity from kids who've had cases, maybe even undetected cases, particularly during the summer, that had few or any symptoms that might have some degree of immunity, but it's very hard for us to ascertain that. And we have to really function under the assumption that we have an unvaccinated population that needs to be protected. So going back to our chart, and you saw the Swiss cheese, and we've been referring to that. For us, it means stay at medium. So masks, yes, indoors, cohort isolation, some relaxation at upper school, as we've been doing. Cafeteria, same as we've been doing. Parents, still limited access, although we are starting the dialogue again about a possible subscription program for parents to opt into to become Green OK for Schools, so that they can become part of the volunteer ranks and have access to the school. It's a management function as well, so we're still very much thinking about that, and we're trying to get there. Somebody asked a question here a minute ago. Oh, sorry, it keeps moving on me. About Sunday fun days and things like that. That would be contingent upon having a subscription-based OK Green for School program in order to allow those kinds of activities. So just keep that in mind. We would have to have that to make that viable for us. Outdoor areas, no problem. As we said in our talk today, outside is a good thing. And we're seeing that literally around the world as schools come back. They're just scheduling to do as many classes, lunch, cafeteria, everything they can outside. And there's been good results by staying outside. By staying outside, they have not seen the cases emerge or the internal spread emerge in outdoor settings. We've got our reentry testing in the mornings 8 to 10. We keep that going. As we said before, temperature checking, we're relying on home and the daily attestation. We're not watching our cohort entrances as closely, but if we do detect that a child has a fever during the day, we are referring immediately to nurse, testing, and then calling parents to take care of kids at home as we normally would. Other areas, the cleaning continues, hand washing, OK for school, daily attestation continues. High school students, not remembering. Oh, high school students, you're able to do OK for School on your own. So that's grades 9 through 12. And then COVID close contact, we're going to adjust the survey next week. It currently has a 10-day exclusion, and we're adjusting that to 7 days. Again, this is an alignment procedure with other regulations and things that are out there. And I don't know, Dr. O, if you want to add to that, but I think we agreed 7 days was in alignment with some of our other categories, and we wanted to simplify.
Correct, and it makes sense with our testing protocol that the 7-day is actually sufficient time for the virus to become detectable by the antigen test that we have. So it gives us sufficient time to retest you upon re-entry and make sure that even if you had a viable contact, you are tested and excluded if positive, or allowed back in if negative.
And we should reinforce again here, this is probably the logical place to do it, although I think we also have it coming up later. This is all being implemented irrespective of vaccination status, because we still have concerns about breakthrough and the transmissibility through vaccinated people that still is very prevalent and has been documented. So all of these stipulations are irrespective of vaccination at this point. We're not ready to differentiate, which gets us to vaccination. The goal remains greater than 70%. Oh man, it keeps switching on me. Greater than 70%. Our current number, 53% for the 12 plus. As I mentioned, 85 plus for staff, parents unknown. We know vaccination is a proven protection against serious illness and long-term consequences. That's absolutely proven. The corollary here is, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. O, 97% of cases are unvaccinated people now. That's what we're quickly moving to, is 90+% are unvaccinated people that are being identified. The breakthrough infections are there, and they are a concern. We continue to monitor because of this increased frequency. We have another variant on the table. Mu was announced last night as being in Europe from Colombia. So I don't know if you want to say anything about Mu, but boo-hoo on Mu. is kind of my opinion right now.
Well, you know, we will be seeing those new variants relatively frequently. Not as frequently as with the flu vaccine, with the flu virus, with the influenza virus, because the influenza virus is actually a bit less advanced in that respect. So it cannot, it doesn't have the repair mechanism that the SARS-CoV-2 has. But still, we will be seeing those new variants, and we had, you know, Delta now, we had Kappa Lambda, now we have Mu. You know, nothing. Let's say, for me, the main challenge always with these new variants is to make sure that our tests work, and secondly, how does the new variant affect the vaccination efficacy in the different populations? Because, you know, in the more risky population, the elderly, the immune-compromised, chronic disease, etc., patients, they unfortunately they have a weaker effect of the vaccinations than the healthy population. So the ones who are the most prone to severe disease, the vaccine actually protects them less.
This was what came up today, because they were also showing that the more serious consequences were all with co-diseases or with already a difficult immune system or some other ailment. And so it really is targeting kind of the most fragile.
Yeah. Again, it's you know, in this whole pandemic, fortunately, as opposed to others like Ebola, the blessing is that the kids are largely unaffected. So that's where, you know, they are a formidable transmitter and a formidable transmission vector, but fortunately the severe disease among kids is just almost unheard of.
One parent's asking about booster, and yes, we are in talks with availability of booster, but it's all on the government right now. So far, it has not been approved, but we do see it on the near horizon. And so as a school, yes, to let the community know, if it becomes available, we'll look at the possibility of bringing it into school for delivery to our parent population, as well as continuing our student vaccination. That's the other thing up here in the students is we have our second dose for our 100 and some odd students. Second dose is this coming Saturday. Message it hasn't been sent yet. It's going to be going out tonight. That's the last thing I'm going to do before I go to bed tonight is make sure you get that message reminder about Saturday's inoculation session. You talked earlier, we need to just factor time into this. We need to watch and see what these antibodies are going to do. We think the boosters, the total population, or actually, I think this was boosters after about 6 to 8 months or in the earlier time frame if the government allows. How this is going to work for expatriates who got vaccinations in other countries and are now here, and how it works for one vaccination to another, these are things that are still being discussed. Am I right, Dr. O? It's like a little bit of confusion here.
Yeah. So, you know, as much as the second challenge, so kind of the mix and match of the different vaccine types, although there is no, there are no clinical trials that would validate the mix and match approach, it has been somehow validated by the different governments, you know, in the line of fire. And now we know that it is safe, and indeed it's actually a bit better protective, or even more, it has a better efficacy in many instances, as opposed to a non-mix and match strategy. So Pfizer following an AstraZeneca will have a better efficacy than an AstraZeneca followed by AstraZeneca. With boosters, we don't know anything, because, you know, nobody in the world has done boosters yet. But we assume, you know, like with other boosters for, you know, whatever, Hep B, polio, or diphtheria, tetanus, whatever, it doesn't really matter that much, because a booster is there to, again, to prime your immune system, not to prime, but to boost, in fact. But so kind of to make the immune system work a little bit more and produce more antibodies and produce more memory B cells. So it doesn't really matter that much which booster you will get, to be honest, because it's like, it's a little bit like with the flu vaccine. You get essentially it's a booster every year that we get the flu, and every time we may be getting a different brand of the vaccine, but all the brands have exactly the same strain. So the vaccine has the same 4 strains in them. So similarly, like COVID, the vaccines target exactly the same protein from the virus, or they have it either as mRNA or DNA or a protein fragment. And so it's exactly the same one that is being produced as a result. So again, by logic, it should not matter which one you get after which one, as long as you get it.
As long as you get it. There you go. Well, we had one other question about the musical. I can't answer the question yet. Staying at Medium would mean that we would not have parents at the musical in person necessarily, although since we've had the successful PTO Mixer event, we might be able to provide for a limited parent population using our distancing protocols that we've already implemented in the theater. So small crowds with testing prior to the performance might be possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not have, and again, depending on the situation, etc., and your appetite. But we have had good success, and in ASW, but we as a company have had good success, both in Poland and other countries where we work, in providing pre-entry testing for various events.
Right.
Small, birthdays through larger weddings to major congresses.
Yeah.
So far, again, very good success rate in terms of sifting out the positive cases and not letting them in, and ensuring that the population inside is safe. So I think I would be leaning, at least today, to having a similar approach for events that you guys have at ASW.
Yeah, particularly when we're coming inside and we're going to be in generally close proximity. That would be our take on it as well. Additional vaccination note: we are working on flu vaccine. You talked about flu vaccine earlier. There's a challenge and uptick here in Poland on the flu vaccine. Last year we had a very successful event. We inoculated 380 in our flu event, but this year we're hoping we have access to the nasal flu vaccine for children. That covers ages 2 to 18. We also hope to have an option for adults as well. We're working on that as well. But I just want to put a save the date out there, October 16th, which is a Saturday. We may be having a major flu vaccination event similar to last year, and mustering the troops and seeing how many we can do in a day. And if we need to do other days, we'll work out a schedule that comes up with a methodology. So again, details to follow. We don't have all the details worked out yet, but we seem to be progressing down the pathway of having an on-site vaccination event for the flu.
Just to explain the nasal flu vaccine, because some people were terrified last year when I was talking about nasal flu vaccine, asking, so do you actually stick a needle into the nose? No, it's actually a spray that you spray in the nose, and the spray contains attenuated virus, which then is deposited in the mucosa of your nose. And then the mucosal cells, they start developing those antibodies, and so the whole mucosa of the upper respiratory tract has those antibodies readily available, which actually means it's actually a very effective vaccine, because this is the place where the flu virus is
happening, right?
So when it enters, it's immediately bombarded with all these antibodies, which are readily available on site. On the first, it's frontline defense. So it's actually very effective. It has been shown even in clinical trials to be more effective than the traditional injectable vaccine.
Right. Yeah, I know that the study and research on it, it's actually been around since about 2016?
Well, 12 years worldwide or more even.
Yeah.
And it has had its ups and downs, but to give you an idea, in the UK, I don't think all over the UK, but in I think in Scotland, in Wales, and in England, they actually have a national vaccination program funded by the NHS for kids aged 12 and down. Okay, so every child is vaccinated with this every child is vaccinated with this nasal flu vaccine in the UK pre-flu season. So they have like a 70% penetration rate of the flu vaccine.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's fantastic. And the amazing thing is that when they implemented this program, even in the first year among kids it was 3 to 5. So kind of for their it was nursery, reception, and year 1. They observed a reduction in emergency room visits related to flu from the entire population of Scotland, where it was implemented, by about 70%.
Wow.
So they vaccinated just just the 3 to 5 year olds, and they observed a reduction in hospital admission, in ER visits related to flu from the entire population, which made you think that, my God, so this is the primary vector of transmission of the flu, these 3 to 5 year olds, because if you vaccinate, and I think they vaccinate only 30% of them or half of them, it resulted in the entire population being protected suddenly. Then it makes you think probably for COVID it may actually be quite similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It leads us to this other question, which is about if we're doing the testing and we're again moving for inoculation, the mask wearing is still there as well because we live in these layers. So even in that scenario with the vaccination, you could also do protective factors, hygiene things, and things like that. And it all is additive. So you get it down to less than 1% that you have to deal with. And that's what people always forget about mask wearing, is it's not by itself a separate factor, but with the other layers, it continues to reduce that number so that we have little to no chance of transmission within the context of us waiting for some of these other things to come along that can help protect us as well. And you and I talked about masks today. We're all in on masks. We believe that the debate about this is quite silly to some extent, because it has proven itself as a protective factor, proven it here on the ground with our school in keeping community spread down to a bare minimum last year. And certainly that was the factor, was the mask wearing. And certainly it was only in the enclosed spaces where the concern, continues to linger. Although now with vaccinated, it tends to reduce that. And certainly with the community spread, it tends to reduce that. But there still is that small percentage, and we take another slice off of that percentage by wearing the masks.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if anything, I would say, let's keep the masks as long as we can. I mean, I think we all got used to masks. It's kind of almost, I almost pretty much every time I leave home, I put my mask on, and then I realize, oh my God, it's not compulsory.
Yep.
I have this habit now that I leave home and I put my mask on. I leave the car, I put my mask on. And then I realize, oh, okay, I don't have to put it on. But so let's keep the habit. It's again, you mentioned it has protected us. It has protected us, and I think the instances when we go deep, the instances when we had some internal spread, it was usually instances related to non-mask wearing.
Yes.
There were some with kind of non-valid tests, etc. But most of them, if not all, were related to kind of, again, a close contact without masks.
Yep, agreed. Other planning, we already talked about the barbecue. We're going to stay outside, so we don't think we need to do testing. We've talked about the variants. Trips, we're kind of talked about this today. Outdoor trips, that are in outdoor settings, we can start slowly introducing. That's on a case-by-case basis, and obviously through our protocols here for approval. but we're going to maintain restrictions on any trips that might include indoor gatherings. And certainly CISA trips are not on the table yet. They're still discussing winter, which is way after the beginning of the school year, but no decision has been made. We also talked a bit about October break. We haven't decided on the plan yet. We want to watch again week by week these numbers and see where they're going. And then we'll have a plan for coming back from the October break. And then the next kind of more deep review that you and I are going to do, in addition to the weekly touch base, is in October before that break, and any additional changes that we want to make to the protocols, either lightening them or strengthening them, depending upon what we kind of view the situation is.
Correct.
I'm looking to see if there are any other questions over here. Anything else you can think of, Dr. O, that we should be thinking about?
You know, I think the positive thing about this fourth wave is, and we are observing it amongst our clients, is that a lot of them are already gearing up, you know. So they returned to the regular testing, they returned to mask wearing, they're doing audits to make sure that the offices are safe. They're thinking about staggered return to the office, but again, first doing an audit. I'm so happy that you know, we managed to somehow educate quite a large population of Poles about you know, staying safe and staying open and continuing operations. This was, you know, for me kind of as a medical doctor, but also you know, a functioning business person. For me, this was a no-brainer, that the main objective is to stay safe and stay open throughout the pandemic. And the second comment I wanted to make is, you know, I told you this earlier today, but I was extremely happy that also the Minister of Health of Poland, he also somehow got the point, finally, a year plus after we have, you know, implemented it widely, first in ISW and then in many other organizations. He actually said yesterday or 2 days ago that they are considering to re-implement antigen testing in schools. And he said the only way an antigen test can be effective is if it's done regularly.
There you go.
So I was like, yeah, well, you know, this is the day I have been waiting for a long time. And you know, in a way, you know, I said on one hand, I'm happy that you know, we educated our customers. On the other hand, I give myself you know, an F grade in terms of you know, being out there much more in the community and educating widely. Because the fact that the Minister of Health only now talks about it is also a bit, you know, my bad, and I should have done a better job. So that's something for me. But again, I'm happy that the organizations, and there were, you know, over 100 that we work with, and we managed to protect, you know, upwards of 50,000 Poles and their families. So it's a positive thing. And again, now they're all much wiser, much better informed, you know, discussing even, you know, I mean, obviously with you became an expert. You could do a PhD, John, in
no, I'm not going there.
Infectious diseases for sure. But a lot of my customers have become experts thanks to you know, also a bit of our work, but also that, you know, I think they managed to understand the whole concept of, you know, how does the virus infect? Why are masks important? What does vaccination do? What it doesn't do? How is testing important? How it should be done? And now it becomes part of their normal day-to-day business to actually implement the Swiss cheese strategy.
And that's it. And it's being, I think, implemented more broadly around the world. As I hear of international schools going back for the first time in 18 months, they've got protocols in place. They are following a general layered module of trying to do what they can. Not every country has access to testing. That's the sad truth of this, is that testing is still not easily available. We had hoped a year ago that they would develop paper tests that we could lick and know immediately whether we're infected. We know those are still in development, but they have yet to reach the mass market so that we have that quick and easy way of assessing our health and making sure that we're safe to be around other people. And everyone across the board, all of the scientists and all the people who really understood this, were saying clearly that's the way out of the pandemic. Yeah. Vaccination's good too, but the time lag, this dealing with the different levels in the bloodstream and all of this is going to take time to sort that out. So the real truth, or the real thing that can help us, is if we had more easier, cheaper access to testing, so that we could do it more frequently and do it easily and non-invasively. I know all those things are out there. I even heard out of Singapore, I know you and I talked about it, the breathalyzer that tests for COVID based on breathing out. We just need to perfect that technology, and we'd have something amazing to keep us all safe while we're getting these vaccines sorted out and getting this thing eradicated.
I think the better, the quicker we get those tests, the better for us. The other component of this whole story is also, this whole reporting structure, because the fact that, somebody tests at home and they test positive, let's say, it doesn't mean that they will be mature enough and responsible enough to stay home.
No.
So that's where I think we still need to put a layer of reporting into this. A little bit like, okay, for school, except, I was also thinking that, when they introduced those QR codes for travel with COVID certificates for vaccination and testing and recovered individuals, this is basically okay for travel.
It is. Absolutely.
It's basically okay for travel. It's exactly what we have done with OK for School, except it's government, it's 1 year later, and we could call it OK for Travel. But it's exactly the same principle. And this is something that we need, and many countries have implemented this, obviously, for kind of daily routines, like going into the supermarket, going to a restaurant, going to a movie theater, etc. And I think that's where we need to be, in the end. But as you say, John, we need to be also smart about this vaccination, and hopefully this fourth wave, again, hopefully we have learned, and we will be able to now move quickly, much more quickly than the first one, without kind of creating this artificial waves of, first doctors, then whoever else, then 20-year-old, then 70-year-old, 65, 64, 63. Unnecessary. I think it should be completely open to everybody. We have many, many, many places where everybody can get vaccinated. We have to move fast this time. We have to move fast. Again, if you guys know people who still resist, spread the word. And if you need support, call me. I have been the first proponent. And I remember back in December, everybody was asking, what should we do? And I said, if you can get your hands on any vaccine, just get it.
Get it. Yeah.
Get it as fast as possible. Don't wait. And then, then we see, because again, the regulatory hurdles to get a product onto the market are so high that, the short-term safety of a vaccine is quite guaranteed. So if there was anything happening short-term, they would not let it happen. Long-term effects are unknown, but they're extremely rare with vaccines. Because again, these vaccines have a very short half-life. They only work for a couple of days to trigger the immune system. So again, but again, it's all new. It's all new. We're learning. We're building the plane while in flight a little bit. And that's.
Hey, check me on my science, though. I mean, my perception, and I think some other authors have said this earlier in the year, it's the first time in human history where we could legitimately eradicate a virus within the early stages of our exposure to it. And I'm talking a couple of years, 3-5 years, but legitimately with the science that we're seeing come on the table with appropriate studies behind it to make it happen. this is really legitimately the first time in human history that we could eradicate a virus in 5 to 7 years instead of 50 years or 100 years.
Absolutely. And, you know, with this one, it's especially important to move fast because of those variants of concern. And the variants of concern, they arise because they can. Means people are unvaccinated because they can start mutating within a human being who is not vaccinated. The variants of concern, they don't appear, you know, in the sky. They don't appear, you know, on surfaces. They develop in the human body, in the human organism. So if I were infected with coronavirus, it could mutate within me, and then I would start spreading the new variant. That's how it starts.
And then the geometric progression takes on.
It's not magic. So the more people are vaccinated, the less chance the virus has to attack a human body and mutate.
Mm-hmm.
The less chance the virus mutates, the more chance that we can eradicate the virus, because we don't have those variants of concern, which by definition, by evolutionary laws, are becoming better at evading both our immune systems and the vaccines.
We've seen this in antibiotics, for example, and the resistance to antibiotics, right?
So that's where we need to, you know, really grasp this concept. I don't think, you know, everybody grasps it. It's a difficult concept in the end, and it's also quite, again, it's also quite elusive because, you know, once people read that, oh, in the history of humankind we have only eradicated one pathogen, right? You know, and even polio. You know, we've had this program going on for the last 50 years. Polio is still around.
But it's quite clear that eradication was through vaccination.
It's through vaccination, absolutely, and that was clear evidence. And you know, we have with polio, we have our own history as Poland, because it was a Polish physician who developed it. Within the structures of a pharmaceutical company. So that's where, you know, I think you know, that's you know. Time will show, but theoretically, yes, John, it is possible to actually eradicate it, given where we are with our science, given where we are with you know, communication, even given where we are with you know, distribution channels, given where we are with, you know, the kind of effectiveness of manufacturing, etc.
Well, this is it.
Given where we are with pricing, because I mean, if you think about it, you know, they cost very little, these vaccines, frankly speaking. So, you know, 50 years ago, the hurdles were much harder, even much bigger, even just to physically move the vaccine, you know, from the factory in, you know, England to, you know, Poland. That was a hurdle. How would you move a vaccine, let's say, in -70 at that time? You wouldn't. You would have absolutely no way. Today, we just say, okay, we need -70 freezers. Right, okay, we'll get it.
Yeah, it was just like, everybody said, yeah, that's a challenge, but no, we got it.
Yeah, we get it.
We got this.
So
I don't think we would have said that even 10 years ago.
Probably not, you're right.
That we could move -70 around with ease.
This, yeah, true. You know, this, and in fact, with mRNA technology in general, this has been a barrier forever. Everybody's they're so unstable, they need -70, nobody would ever use them. Okay, fine, forget about it.
Well, we hasten to mention that they're off now working with the mRNA to eradicate cancer and every other viral transmission. They're all in one shot, right?
For the last 20 years. I even work in a different area with a Polish company that develops an mRNA technology, and they have been doing it for the last 10 years. So you know, it's not a new technology, and again, there have always been these you know, stupid barriers. Like, again, we have to move it in -70, big barrier. Okay, so let's, you know, let's
figure it out.
Now suddenly COVID came and no barrier.
Amazing. We live in amazing times. You know,
it's good. The progress in medicine has been tremendous over the last 12, 18 months.
I think it's important to say that, because I think we get caught up in the negative and the mitigation and all the other things, but there's also this brilliant silver lining and this positivity that can come out of this in what we can truly accomplish that we couldn't accomplish even 10 years ago. You know, so it's fabulous. Well, Dr. O, I've kept you for extended time tonight. Thank you for
Thank you so much.
putting the extra minutes in as we muse about science and medical technology and all the possibilities on the horizon. You are, as always, our key partner, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good evening.
You too. Well, thanks everyone. I noticed that some are starting to wane here, so I'll bring this to a close. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So please look for us in another 2 weeks. That'll be right after the barbecue. Barbecue is a week from Saturday. Baskets are due Friday. Weather, everybody cross your fingers and hope for good weather. We've had student pictures finishing up today, so hopefully we got the first round. If you missed this week, and I'm talking to students now as well as to staff, we'll have a makeup day coming in February, dates to be announced, so we'll take care of you there. Other than that, I will say my farewells and my thank you again for joining us, for asking your questions. You can also shoot questions to me in advance via email, director@aswarsaw.org, and I'm happy to prepare them for our times together. I really value these times together and sharing things that are going on at school. I plan to use them broader and broader, not just on COVID, but also on things that we're planning and ways that you can be involved in making this school better each day. So thank you again, one and all. Have a pleasant evening, and Director out.